Another supplementary estimate of 190 million rupees for ministers' vehicles and residencies. Presidential Commission for the bond issue reveals witness tampering. Requests made to seize assets of Perpetual Treasuries. Unsuitable equipment used in the Umaoya project. Ministers question the proposed media bill.
Hello there, very good evening to you and welcome to Primetime News. We are coming to you live and direct from the Newsfirst studio here in Colombo. I'm Stephanie Lazarus.
I'm Saturanga Puarachi. Let's take a look at the stories in detail now.
On to your top story tonight, a supplementary estimate was presented in Parliament today seeking financial allocations to purchase vehicles and renovate the official residences of ministers. The total value of the supplementary estimate is 197,009,300 rupees.
The total value of the supplementary estimate is 197,009,300 rupees. 121,098,600 rupees of this supplementary estimate has been allocated for the purchase of vehicles for ministers. 86 million rupees has been allocated for the purchase of 2 vehicles for the Deputy Minister of Mahawali Development and Environment as well as the Minister of Posts, Postal Services and Muslim Religious Affairs. 9 million rupees has been allocated for the purchase of a backup vehicle for the Minister of Foreign Affairs. 848,400 rupees has been allocated as the balance payment for a vehicle obtained by the Governor of the Northern Province. Financial allocations have also been sought for the renovation of official residences of 3 ministers. 14,890,000 rupees has been allocated for the renovation of the official residence of the Minister of Women and Child Affairs. 13 million rupees have been allocated for the renovation of the official residence of the Minister of Provincial Councils and Local Government. 21,825,000 rupees have been allocated for the renovation of the official residence of the Minister of Regional Development. In addition, 26,195,700 rupees has been included in this supplementary estimate as allocations for 4 terms of a lease payment. Even though supplementary estimates are being presented to Parliament to purchase vehicles and renovate residencies of ministers who are the public representatives of the masses, a majority of the MPs who had been included in the agenda to raise questions were not present in Parliament today.
The Anunayaka of the Siam sect of the Malwatu chapter, the Most Venerable Tibbu Khare Vimaladharma Thera, commented on the additional financial allocations made to ministers. He expressed these views when former Secretary of Defence Gotabaya Rajapaksa visited him.
When one is a ruler, one must not think only of oneself, but rather they must speak of the development of the country and its people. Today I learned that an estimate was presented to Parliament requesting for financial allocations to purchase new vehicles and renovate houses for ministers. This was the message I received. I don't think that is false. While they are allocating finances for that, our people, who are victims of landslides, are still languishing in tents. Those who were victimized by the Salava Armory explosions and the recent floods must be looked after. It is disheartening that these people are being forgotten.
Prior to calling on the Anunayaka Thero, Gotabaya Rajapaksa visited the chief prelates of the Malwatu and Askari chapters.
Yesterday I saw how Mahinda Amaravira, addressing a group of SLFP MPs, said that I will be arrested within a month. So is this justice? So if it is Mahinda Amaravira who is examining the case and passing judgment, where is the independence in that? Is this justice?
Officials of the Inland Revenue Department did not report to work today after applying for medical leave. The officials engaged in this action in protest against the new Inland Revenue Bill.
Trade unions of the Inland Revenue Bill point out that if the government does not respond to their requests, they would intensify their trade union action.
We decided to engage in this action because the new Inland Revenue Bill was put forward without any consultations in a manner which causes harm to the Inland Revenue Service in the country. We oppose this. When you look at the proposed bill, it is clear that it will cause problems for the officials of the department as well as the general public. This bill also puts into jeopardy the EPF of the private sector workers. The bill will also politicize the Inland Revenue Department and grant unlimited power to the ministers. We will lose our independence. Individuals attached to trade unions of the Inland Revenue Department have applied for medical leave. However, all essential services function today with the staff that reported to work. None of the department were closed down.
Several cabinet ministers confirmed today that they are unaware of a document that has provisions to penalize journalists.
The document, which has been titled the Independent Council for News Media Standards Act, has provisions to compile laws to penalize journalists for reporting. The news media, according to the document, is bound to reveal any source before the council that is proposed. A lawyer or a retired judge is to head this proposed council.
Minister Gayantha forwarded the draft made by this subcommittee for the approval of the cabinet in November last year. This was announced at the cabinet meeting. The approval was to receive the opinion of the public.
No, I'm not aware of this. I do not think this will happen. The government has no hope to create barriers for the media.
We will not attempt to suppress the media under any circumstance. We have no idea to do so either. If there is, we will not support it.
There are no steps to bring about such an act for now. There have been no discussions in this regard. Everything that is spoken of will not be true.
Remember, the most important part is the freedom of the journalist, the right to express, depict and to write. No one will try to hinder that.
The Director General of Government Information, Dr. Ranga Kalansurya, addressing the media on the 5th, said that the chairman of the Sri Lanka Working Journalists Association, Lasantha Ruhunage, attended a meeting regarding this document and that he walked away later. Lasantha Ruhunage says that he had not attended any meeting regarding the regulation of media. Ruhunage says that he was invited for a discussion in July 2016 and because another fake association that uses the name of the Sri Lanka Working Journalists Association was invited for this discussion, Ruhunage had walked off. He says that he is unaware of what was discussed during the meeting after he left. Issuing a release, Ruhunage says that if the Director General of Information says that the Sri Lanka Working Journalists Association was represented at these discussions, that it is a baseless lie of the Director General who is acting according to the hidden agendas of his political bosses. The chairman of the Sri Lanka Working Journalists Association, Lasantha Ruhunage, further states that it is now a question whether his association will attend the future discussions that the Director General of the Government Information convenes.
The work that has been going on has been done under the auspices of a committee, and the committee was set up by Ranga Kalansurya within the government, but then it operated independently as a committee, a 5-person committee. I have not done any drafting so far. The draft was prepared entirely by the local committee. We're all aware that the draft is not a perfect draft. I think it's a very good start, but it's just a first discussion draft, and we want to hear other people's views, and I will make now for the first time some proposed changes to it, but that will go back to the committee. It would be up to the committee to decide whether or not to accept my proposals, but that will be my first direct touch on the wording of the draft.
Going to one of our headline-making stories, the Presidential Commission of Inquiry has instructed the Attorney General's Department to look into the legal provisions in relation to a witness being contacted by certain parties before giving evidence. Sulfiq Farsan has more.
The Deputy General Manager in charge of Treasuries at Pan Asia Banking Corporation, Ranjit Aruna Benedict Dias, provided evidence before the Commission once again today. On Wednesday, when he gave evidence previously, the Commission instructed him to inform them that if anyone tries to interfere with his evidence or his ability to give evidence before this Commission. A question was posed to him today, and he informed the Commission that on a day after a consultation process with the Attorney General, his former chairman Nimal Pereira, and then on the 30th of June, Augen Aloysius had contacted him over the telephone, and he believes that these phone calls were attempts to prevent him from revealing the truth before this Commission. Taking these facts into consideration, Justice Prasanna Jayawardena informed Acting Attorney General Dapula de Oliveira to look into the legal provisions available in relation to certain parties contacting a witness before he gives evidence at the Presidential Commission of Inquiry. The witness, Richard Aruna Benedict Dias, said after the Newsfirst reports on Pan Asia Banking Corporation acting as an intermediary in bond transactions aired last week, people at PABC, including himself, had several concerns. These were relating to his own reputation and that of Pan Asia Banking Corporation. On the 30th of June, Arjun Aloysius, the owner of Perpetual Treasuries, had telephoned the witness and pleaded to meet with him. This was a month after he had given a statement to the CID officers assisting the commission. The witness had thereafter met with Arjun Aloysius and expressed his displeasure over the situation. Richard Dias stated Arjun Aloysius had assured him that if he is forced to leave PABC, there will be an opening for him at Perpetual Treasuries Limited. When asked why he visited Arjun Aloysius, the witness said he wanted to know if Nimal Pereira, the former chairman of PABC, had mentioned anything to Aloysius, and he himself had many personal concerns. Aloysius had told him the next 2 weeks would be crucial and Aloysius wanted his support. This was because they believed the commission's tenure would end in that time. In the following days, when the witness was involved in consultations with the Attorney General's Department, Arjun Aloysius called him 3 times. The witness had ignored these calls. On the 4th of July, when the witness was leaving the commission premises, he had received a call from his former chairman, Nimal Pereira. Nimal Pereira assured the witness that if he is to leave PABC, there will be an opening for him at a firm owned by him. The witness testified that he believed both men had offered him jobs to prevent him speaking the truth about the intermediary role played by PABC. What is interesting to note is that most of these calls had not come through conventional lines, but via instant messaging application WhatsApp. The AG's department noted that it was done because the service provider would not be able to record the conversations and in order to avoid detection. It came to light that after the bond auction on the 29th of March 2016, PTL had issues surrounding the intraday liquidity facility. The witness, Richard Aruna Dias, was called to the residence of then PABC chairman Nimal Pereira, where Arjun Aloysius and CEO of PTL, Kasun Palisena, were both present. PTL had proposed for PABC to enter into a buy and sell transaction so that PTL could settle payments. The witness noted that it was an unacceptable process and highlighted that it was a massive risk that would have to be borne by PABC. The witness had informed them that when he was asked to do something irregular by his previous employers, he tendered in his resignation. The witness spoke on the loans granted to Country Kitchen Lanka Private Limited, a manufacturer and exporter of confectionery products. 2 loans had been released by PABC, 15 million rupees and 10 million rupees for the construction of a 4-story showroom premises, of which the first 2 floors would be given to Royal Ceramics Lanka PLC. The salient partner of Country Kitchen is listed as Saman Kumara, who is also a senior officer of the EPF. Royal Ceramics PLC at the time was under Nimal Pereira. Richard Aruna Benedict Dias testified that all intermediary transactions performed by PABC were upon the instructions of former PABC chairman Nimal Pereira and Arjun Aloysius. He revealed that when PABC refused to follow the instruction at one particular occasion in 2016, Arjun Aloysius called the witness and spoke to him in a threatening manner.
Yesterday, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka announced that business activities of Perpetual Treasuries as a primary dealer have been suspended for 6 months.
A press statement from the Central Bank for the auction on the 12th of July to raise 29 billion rupees does not list Perpetual Treasuries Limited as a primary dealer of the bank. Perpetual Treasuries owns media companies. They have radio stations, television stations and newspapers. You can imagine their level of skimming money. They should be banned. At the same time, the state must seize the media institutions that they launched. Those were launched with the money they stole.
Time for several reports on court proceedings.
The Court of Appeal has decided to take up a petition calling for a writ of mandamus in connection to a clash at the Valikada prison on the 28th of this month. The petition calls on court to issue an order to the IGP and the CID to apprehend suspects connected to an incident at the Valikada prison where police officers attacked protesting inmates, killing 27 of them. The petition has been filed by a resident of Tissamaharama who had been incarcerated when the attack took place on the 9th of November 2012. The Supreme Court granted approval today for MP PSA Nagamage to get involved in the petition filed by MP Geeta Kumar Singha challenging a Court of Appeal verdict as an intermediary. Approval was granted when the petition was taken up before a 3-judge bench led by Chief Justice Priyasath Depp. The Supreme Court also ordered for PSA Nagamage to be named as the 4th respondent in the case. The revision application submitted by former Judicial Medical Officer of Colombo, Professor Anand Samarasekara, was postponed until the 24th of August today. Counsel appearing on behalf of Anand Samarasekara told court today that his client had been admitted to hospital to undergo a heart surgery. Anand Samarasekara sought an order preventing the CID from arresting him in connection to the disappearance of the skeletal remains of rugby player Wasim Tajuddin, who was murdered. The revision application was submitted to the Colombo High Court as the initial request was thrown out by the Colombo Additional Magistrate.
Minister Mahinda Amaraveera revealed today that substandard equipment had been used for the Uma Oya project. The minister made this revelation during a media briefing held in Colombo today.
They engaged in excavations from both sides using 2 machines. We have immediately stopped work of 1 machine. Once the other machine moves beyond the danger area in a few days, we will stop this as well. We will make corrections to this project before recommencing work. A group of Swiss experts arrived in the country to examine the project on the request of the President. One of the recommendations that they gave us was that we should modify the machinery being used so that the soil is sealed as soon as it is excavated. We will be importing the necessary equipment. A group of experts from Norway, which is the country that is leading this field at present, will arrive in the country on the 31st. They too will examine this project and provide their recommendations. We will receive a report from them by the 15th of August and we will plan our future course of action based on this. We have told that a broader environmental impact assessment should have been conducted. We believe the machinery being used for this project are subpar. It is not an expert opinion, but it is based on advice from experts. The machines are suitable for such excavations in desert areas from what we are told. There are also issues surrounding the Farad company because this is their first project. From what we have gathered so far, this is not their area of expertise.
Former Minister of Irrigation Chamal Rajapaksa expressed his views on the Uma Oya project.
In 2005, when Mahinda was contesting for the presidential election, his election manifesto was the Mahinda Chintanaya. 28 parties, including the JVP, came together to prepare an economic plan. It details what should be done after becoming president. The Uma Oya project was clearly mentioned in this program. You voted for Mahinda based on the promises that we gave you. They say there is a mound of earth here which is prehistoric. It is unstable and sinks sometimes. When drilling in this unstable area, all the water had started to drain into this and had caused damages to houses and caused a lack of drinking water. There is a Ministry of Disaster Management. The present government said they are able to save 60 billion of revenue allocated for the financial year of 2016-2017. You could have given this money to the people, sealed up the leak and take speedy measures. If the contractors are not good enough, they could have changed the contractors. It is their responsibility to look into this and pay compensation where necessary.
The threat posed by the menace of drugs was debated in Parliament today.
There has been a stark increase in the use of heroin. A large number of youth have become addicts. They want to get clean, but they cannot because there is no proper mechanism in place. With the intervention of religious leaders, we should introduce meditation programs and programs which utilize indigenous medicine to rid the menace of drugs. I propose the creation of an authority to rehabilitate drug addicts.
ගොඩන ගන්න ඕනේ කියලා මේ ගරු සභාවට අපි යෝජනා කරා.
අද මේ වෙනකොට ඉන්දියාවේ කේරළ ගංජා.
You can find Kerala ganja from India anywhere in the country. We should take steps to crack down on this as well.
මේ තත්ත්වය වටලන්නටත් විශේෂයෙන් කටයුතු කළ යුතුයි.
මේකත් එක්ක
The disappointing situation is that the names of politicians are connected to the drug trade. There are drug-based allegations against a number of politicians.
දේශපාලනය කරන තත්ත්වයට චෝදනා ලැබලා තියෙනවා. දැන් විශේෂයෙන්ම ගත්තොත් දැන් අපේ
When you take a look at Kolonnawa, it is very famous for this. Even after the present government came into power, an MP from the area was linked to the drug trade. He was linked with individuals like Bele Sudha and was taken to court as well. When he was in hiding for committing an infamous murder, drug usage in Kolonnawa dropped. Our government conducted raids and confiscated many stocks. There was a lack of drugs, and because of this, a packet of heroin rose from 500 rupees to about 2,000 rupees. However, we need to be truthful. It has dropped to around 1,000 rupees now. This means that drugs are once again entering the market. We need to understand that we lack a proper mechanism to rid the country of this drug menace. The law should be enacted to control the situation.
විශේෂයෙන්ම නීතියෙන් මේක පාලනය කිරීම අත්‍යවශ්‍යයි.
After the school interval, teachers cannot teach in schools because the students are intoxicated. Stuff such as Mava and Thul is being exchanged freely. There are plenty of dealers and we need a special program to combat this.
Looking at some sports news now, Sri Lankan paceman Nuwan Pradeep will no longer feature in the Sri Lankan team set to take on Zimbabwe in the next two one-day internationals. Sri Lanka currently leads the 5-match ODI series 2-1.
Nuwan Pradeep will not take part in tomorrow's game. He has not suffered a major injury. There's a small issue with a muscle. Since he will be playing both the Zimbabwe and Indian tests, we decided to rest him for the next two matches. We will bring in Nuwan Kulasekara and Asatha Kunasekara into the squad to supplement this.
Stephanie, since you've been asking all the questions today, what is the role of the private sector in securing more investments in Sri Lanka?
Well, the new chairman of the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, Rajendra Tyagaraja, talks to Newsfirst Parash Shaukatali, and all this and much more on Newsfirst Review 360 right after the bulletin on TV1. That's a wrap of Primetime News at 9. I'm Stephanie Lazarus.
I'm Saturang Hapwarachi. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.